Hello, hello. This is Carla again from Documenting the Journey. I'm going to be doing a plan with me and my Hobonichi cousin. I will be doing a weekly and a daily. I used stickers last week, so I forgot how fun that was, and I have a lot of stickers. And so I think I will go ahead and use stickers again this week. I feel like it just kind of, I don't know, for me, it just kind of adds like a little bit of extra character to the page. So, as I've said in multiple videos in the past, I'm going to go through first and put in all of my non-negotiables, meaning all of my schedule, basically. The days that I work, the days that my kids have sports, the things that are time sensitive that I cannot miss. There is one day on Wednesday that the kids have a 2-hour delay for school, and it's not something that is normal, so I keep kind of going back and forth between my monthly and my weekly calendar to make sure that I've got it written on the correct day. So I'm just looking to see if I have a school-related late start sticker, and I don't really think that I do. And so this is part of the reason also that I quit planning with stickers, is because sometimes I obsess over finding, quote, the perfect sticker for a situation, and then everything ends up stickered. I usually actually sticker after the week, but I don't know why the past couple of weeks I've just really wanted to put stickers down during planning. I think that probably I'm starting to get a little stressed out because we're having schedule changes, and sometimes just playing in paper and stickers, it just really soothes me and it kind of relaxes me. So I'm guessing that that's the reason why. But this is actually the week that we are having schedule changes, and so I'm just putting down my wrestling and my soccer stickers right now. But my son's football is finished, and so he's transitioning to wrestling. My daughter's soccer is still ongoing, and so just because of scheduling changes, it's always really hard because everything just has to shift a little bit. We're going to have a scheduling conflict on Monday, and so I've got to figure out all of that. And then, but that's something that I'll figure out at some point, of course. And then this is just a birthday sticker for one of my really dear friends that lives in North Carolina. So I just want to mark that down so I can make sure to give her a call. And I will probably also make sure that I send her something small as well, like a card. So since I couldn't find a late start sticker, I'm just going to use one of these sticky notes from the Coffee Monsters Co. And I'm just going to write it in there. That way it will be very bold and I will remember. I've already changed my schedule at work, so that's really not a big issue. I just don't want to be that mom that tries to drop my kids off at the regular time and school is closed, because that would absolutely be me. And so basically the way I plan is I go back and forth between my monthly and my weekly view, and I just slowly transfer everything. My monthly view is kind of like my main view. It's where absolutely everything goes. I have all of my information in there, really right now, except for my goals, because all of those goals are in my MakseLife. I usually do put, when I'm in paper planning, I usually do transfer some of that to my paper planner, but I'm not sure if I'm going to do that quite yet, mainly just because I really love my digital MakseLife, and so I'm not sure how I'm going to balance all of this stuff out yet. But anyways, my monthly is kind of my main go-to. It's where I go to when I have to schedule anything. It's where I go to when I have to change anything. And so it's just kind of like my main jam type of view. And so that's just how I plan, is I just look at my monthly, transfer everything to that specific day, and then I'll go and backfill all of the personal type things, like when I need to do yard work, or when I need to block out for cleaning and stuff like that as well. And so I am just kind of trying to finish up my weekly view right here, and then I'm going to be moving on to my daily view. So with my daily view, I will go ahead and lay out a couple of them here, and then I'll probably just save the weekend for just later, basically. This sticker is because my husband has an overnight for work, and so I just used a couple of suitcases. That's the reason we have the scheduling conflict on Monday, because usually we would do some dividing and conquering, but because he's not going to be here Monday evening, I've got to figure out if somebody can bring my daughter to soccer so I can do my son's first day of wrestling for this season. He did it last year, but at the beginning of the season, there's always like those big parent meetings where it's like the informational session and stuff like that. And then here I'm just kind of transferring all of my tasks from my sidebar that I didn't do this week. There's quite a few that I didn't do this week, but that's okay. I can just try it again this coming week. So I'm just transferring all of that. And then I think I'm going to be pretty much done with my daily view, or excuse me, my weekly view. So I am going to do at the very bottom, I usually start it at midnight, but I kind of block off all of the times after midnight because the cousin goes, it's a 24 hours. And so in the column, it's midnight to 4:30, and then 5 a.m. it starts at the top. And so I'm just going to go ahead and block that out, and then I'm going to be using my DearLilyDesign Stencils, and I'm going to be using a Right Tech. I'm not sure, I still don't know how to pronounce these markers, but I'm going to be using this purple color to match that sticky note up there, and I'm just going to be using these stencils to write out this week. So at the bottom, usually what I do is I do basically like a weekly recap of what book I'm reading, what audiobook I'm listening to, any podcasts that I've listened to, any mail that I might have gotten, or any, like big milestones or big, huge moments that happened throughout the week as well. And I was really consistent with that in the cousin this year, when I was in the cousin this year. But of course, when I go back to my digital MakseLife, of course, that little spot is not there. But I actually really like it because it kind of combines like my functional hourly view that I need with a little bit of just kind of memory keeping and things to keep track of. I really enjoy it. Okay, so I did also forget to mention for this week's planning, I did switch pens. So right now with the stencils, I'm using the Uni Jetstream in 0.38 because it's a ballpoint, it won't smear. But for my actual planning, I'm using the Micron PN. And so because the Micron PN, it's the plastic nib, it does smear just a smidge with stencils. I'm just using the ballpoint just so I don't have to deal with any of that. But the reason I switched pens is because I actually went through all of my planners for the past like 4 years, trying to figure out in the past what has worked best for me, what I was most consistent in addition to like that exact moment where I realized that I wanted to switch from sticker planning to functional planning. And I just kind of like looked at everything, and I actually pulled out my 2021 Hobonichi Weeks, and it was like the most functional planner I had owned. I did have a lot of stickers and I did have a lot of decoration in it, but as far as functionality, it's the one that I was most consistent in, and it's the one that I was in the longest. And I had used the Micron in there, and I just loved the way it looked because it's a really dark, very, very bold. Even if you use the 01 or the 02, which is a really, really fine tip, it was still just a really dark, bold kind of ink, so to say, on the paper. And I just really loved the way that that looked. And so I pulled out my Microns again. I decided to try the PN, the plastic nib, because I was really hoping that the nib wouldn't wear down as often, because I do remember when I was in my weeks when I used exclusively the Micron, I went through like 10 or 11 pens in 1 year, just because the nib is like a felt tip pen, and even if you feel like you're writing really gentle and very lightly, the nib just wears down. And I was hoping the plastic nib would not do that, so we'll see. But anyways, for stenciling though, I am using the Jetstream, again, just because I don't want it to smear. I'm using the DearLilyDesign Stencils, and I'm basically just using all of my banners. The way I set up my daily pages is I have 4 categories. I have my tasks, I have my gratitude or happy moments, and then I have my health tracking, and then I have notes. Under notes, I can write anything from what is going on in the news to conversations I had with people to just like a quick micro journaling of what happened throughout the day. Oh, these stencils here are the Beauty by Starlit Design stencils, and I actually really like them. I like the shapes of them. The hard part that I have with these is they're not see-through like the Dear Lily designs, and so I'm always a little bit worried that when I put the stencil down, it's just not going to be straight like it is like on the grid, and I'll notice it that day and it'll make my eye twitch. But I am actually starting to let go of a little of that. This is no November for me with Club Moxie, and so I am starting to let go of some of those teeny tiny things that bother me that I know in the end it is not that big of a deal. Like at the end of the day, it's not a big deal if my stencil is like 2 millimeters crooked. And so here I'm basically just going through and I'm creating like a shadow behind the banner, and I'm just using those, I just still don't know how to pronounce them, the Ritex, the, what are they called? They're like the Tombos, the lettering pens, but I'm using those just to kind of put a little pop of color on the page behind the banners that I create. I can't talk today, and I'm not going to edit any of this out because this is just, for me, it's real life. It's how my brain processes, and it is just going to be what it is. So this is the last page that I'm going to do in this video. I just did Monday through Friday. We have a rare weekend where we have absolutely nothing scheduled, no sports or anything. So I don't want to set up my weekend pages in case I decide to do some long form journaling. I won't have to worry about all of these categories, but that is my week. That is my weekly and my daily pages and my cousin. I hope that you enjoyed. If you have any questions, drop them down below or find me over on Instagram. And I appreciate you watching. Have a good rest of your day.